I'm a citizen of the United States, and I'm also a correspondent for Russia Today, the TV network based in Moscow. And our network has been subject to quite a bit of pressure in the last year, and I want to kind of go over the context that that's taking place in. Folks will know that Donald Trump does not have a very good relationship with the mainstream media in the United States, and as a result, talk about freedom of the press is everywhere in the United States right now. There's constant talk about freedom of the press. There was a film that was released, a Hollywood movie, describing the fight that President Richard Nixon had with the Washington Post that was widely viewed. So there's all this talk of freedom of the press in the USA, and this idea, people writing articles that Trump might be cracking down on freedom of speech and suppressing journalists. So you would think that in that context, for the Justice Department of the United States to come and force a TV network to register as a foreign agent based on groundless accusations, and then from there for us to be stripped of our credentials and not allowed to report from Capitol Hill, you would think that there would be mass outrage, right? Because there's all this talk about freedom of the press and freedom of speech, but it's been the opposite. In fact, aside from a few alternative voices, most of the mainstream media in the United States has been completely silent about how RT, a TV network that works very hard to report on what's actually going on in the United States, has been specifically singled out and targeted by the Department of Justice of the United States. And the fact that so few people in the media have spoken up on our behalf, if they were going after pottery makers, there would be an association of pottery makers that would speak in our defense. They went after barbers, there would be an association of barbers that would speak in our defense. But the fact that so few people in the media came to support RT points to the bigger question, which is why what we're doing as a TV network in the United States is so important. Because when it comes to vital international issues, like what's going on in Syria, like what's happened in Ukraine, like what's gone on, the incident in Manchester, the mainstream media in the United States, despite all this talk of being free and independent, basically repeats the same message. Assumptions are repeated as if they are facts. Specific interpretations of events are repeated as if they are the only interpretation that's out there. And we at RT, we don't do that. We at RT, we question more. That is the slogan of the network, is question more. And because we do that, we're subject to this pressure that has been placed on the network. In a lot of the attacks on RT, we're constantly accused of being propaganda. That's one of the allegations. This is simply propaganda. But the definition of propaganda is very clear. Propaganda is material that is presented with the intention of convincing people to adopt a particular political or ideological viewpoint. And if you look at what we do on RT, it's the exact opposite. If you turn on RT and you look at the coverage that we have of the United States, you will not hear just Republicans and Democrats. You'll also hear libertarians, you'll hear socialists, you'll hear constitutionalists, you'll hear a very, very broad spectrum. You'll hear Christians, Muslims, Jews. We're broadening the terms of discourse in the United States. We're countering the kind of stifling and limiting of free speech that is taking place and which U.S. mainstream media is overall complicit in doing. And so we have been subject to this kind of demonization and targeting and this pressure from the U.S. Justice Department. So what is most shocking about this is that this is from the United States, a country that is constantly lecturing countries that are in very different conditions and very different circumstances and telling them that they don't have enough freedom of the press and that they're not allowing social media or internet freedom in the right way. This is from the United States government. And yet they come down on a TV network that is trying to broaden the conversation in the United States. So, we continue to do our work. I'm very proud to work at RT. I'm an American. No one in my family is Russian. I don't speak a word of Russian, but I love working at RT. We're doing something very important, and we're challenging some of the assumptions in the mainstream media discourse that are just so pervasive in U.S. society. Thank you.